This time for independent reading, I chose a book called Soccernomics by Simon Cooper and Stefan Szymanski. Basically, these two guys in the first chapter give an overview of what their opinion is towards modern soccer and suggest a unique point of view of what classic soccer was like, but especially how it has changed and developed into what is called modern soccer. Something that interests me in page 17 is how they included that they both think that much in soccer can be explained, even predicted, by studying data, especially data found outside soccer, which relates totally unrelated topics to soccer. 2 pages after, they mention numbers on suicides, on wage spendings, on countries' populations, on passes and sprints, on anything that helps to rebuild new truths about the game, which means that the world of soccer is much bigger now. The world of soccer means much more than what we see. Back to what they were saying about the game being predicted or explained is kind of a spoiler for me as a fan. Knowing that the game can be explained or predicted kills the essence. The essence of the game is the feeling of uncertainty that a fan and a player feels during a game. Not knowing what is going to happen is what hooks you into actually following the game or tournament in any case. Then they mention how they think soccer is a big business. This idea has been developing in the last years and has been something sounding because of different teams such as Chelsea, Paris Saint-Germain, and Manchester City, who which are totally um, which basically uh, depend on their um, economic status. Chelsea, Manchester City, and Paris Saint Germain, among many other teams, have been successful during the last years because of huge amounts of money that have been invested in the game. So it isn't anymore about the talent of the players. Because, for example, Barcelona has one of the greatest young teams, but then they sell the players. So nowadays, even though Barcelona is a very good team, they are not as successful as teams as Manchester City and Chelsea, and we could see that in the last year when Barcelona didn't win anything. One example would be that, for example, James Rodriguez. I was reading about it, the transfer to Real Madrid, and there is a rumor about James Rodriguez being transferred to Real Madrid because of Florentino Perez, Real Madrid's president, having business in Colombia, and that benefiting him by buying James Rodriguez, which is something ridiculous, something that ruins the game, something that is outside the boundaries. On the last week, I was talking with my dad about how soccer was like, or how these guys would call it classic soccer. He said that many players in Colombia played uh, much better than James Rodriguez, than Carlos Baca, than Falcao Rodriguez, but they weren't as famous and they weren't recognized as the best players because they didn't have the opportunity to be transferred to a good team as the ones nowadays have. Thirdly, I would like to mention how the tactics and the techniques used by teams can also be predicted. How these guys try to suggest a model where they have a successful or better technique that would give success to the teams. And I think that it is something that is nonsense. For example, they say understanding that not every election is about home runs, but instead getting a whole bunch of singles together that eventually add up to a win, which is very interesting that they can plant this model, but it's something that again ruins the essence of the game. The essence of the game is having different tactics, having different techniques, um, knowing that each team plays a different way. And for example, if we go according to this theory, we would say that, or we would predict that, for example, eh, in a month, Chelsea is going to play in Paris in for UEFA Champions League. So Chelsea will go to get a draw and then come back to get a win because it's not about a home run. It's not about winning in Paris. It's about winning in a total. So I think that the essence is not knowing what the team is going to offer in a game, not knowing what they want to do. So again, it's that feeling of uncertainty that the fans and the players feel. Additionally, um, I would like to mention that having different tactics, such as parking the bus, parking the bus from Mourinho, and passing from Guardiola, is or makes soccer a beautiful game. It makes it interesting. It makes it different. It's not about every team doing the same, or but instead every team having different things, having its unique way, having a or yeah, having each manager's different point of view of what to do in every game. Lastly, I would like to mention what they lastly mentioned about the Milan Lab. This was a project that Milan had in 2007, which took them to win the Champions League against Liverpool. Basically, it was a lab that determined when the players were gonna get injured, how they were gonna get injured, what they need to do better, and uh, this is a this is a point where I do agree with with the writer. I think that this is a really useful tool for the teams, and this could help soccer be a better scenario. Because, for example, and again, I use as an example Falcao. The Monaco would have find out that Falcao, even though he suffered from a foul, they would have known that he was weak, that he was likely to be injured, and that actually makes a difference because, for example, Colombia would go to the World Cup with Falcao. Falcao would have a totally different career at this moment. Uh, so this is a tool that I think that is actually really useful and um, pretty good for the teams right now.